What's up, YouTube Nation? This is your homie Hood Rat Comics, coming with my homies Team Nerd Herd. We're going to talk a little bit about being a vet, that is a military veteran, and being a nerd at the same time and how that works. I'm going to talk to, we invited our homie. His name is Chris, and I want to introduce him. So I'm going to pass the mic on to Chris and let him introduce himself. And Chris, make sure you pass that mic on to somebody else.
Cool, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the show. My name's Chris. Also go by Jester, _1775 out there on Twitter. 1775 represents the Army, man. You know, the daddy branch. So I'm an old school vet. I served from 04 to 09. Yeah. Always been about gaming and, you know, doing comic book stuff and all that good stuff. So I'll pass it along to the other vet in the group. Rob, how you doing, man?
All right. Hi. Once again, it's me, Robert, from Rob's Nerd Haven. And yes, I was vet as well with the U.S. Navy from 1999 to 2003 and stationed in New York and in San Diego and been around the world with the U.S. Navy, and there's definitely interesting times, that's for sure. So, and I think that's it for our group on the veterans. So I'll pass it back up on to you, Ian.
All right, I'm going to pass it on to the rest of the homies to let them introduce themselves. I'm going to pass it on to Rogue Slaw next.
My name is JR. Your resident Star Wars nerd, your Marvel nerd, comic book nerd in general. I'm going to pass it on to our good buddy that showed up with us today for a second time, Mr. Steve.
What's going on, y'all? What's going on? It's Steve. Instagram handle, Hip Hop's Enemy, Hip Hop's in me. And I'm a local 1 in 12th scale collector of action figures galore. And I'm also a comic nerd, pop culture nerd, and been with the herd for a while. Glad to be on the show for a second time.
All right, let's pass that mic on to Alonzo.
What's up, YouTube Nation? It's Comics and Pops. Pretty much collect any and everything comic related. Also getting into Pops, and ready for today's show.
All right, cool, man. Well, thanks for introducing yourself, guys, and thanks for joining us again. And make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Well, cool, man. Well, you know, since we have you on the show, man, and you are the Punisher of the crew, we tied in a couple of Punisher books, man. JR and Alonzo picked a couple books, and let's take a look at them.
All right, so this is my take, or my pick with the Punisher theme going with in today's show. So it's Marvel Universe versus the Punisher. So what's going on in this book, and it's awesome, is there's some sort of virus that makes everybody a cannibal. So they're not as coherent. All they feel is a hunger. I mean, they're alive, so they're not a zombie, but they just want to just eat and eat and eat. So you have all of these heroes that are now turned into this cannibalistic nature, and the Punisher, who's for whatever reason he's immune to this particular disease. So he's out and about trying to not save people, because that's not what the Punisher does, but he's out there trying to punish all of these heroes because of what they've done to other people. So it's great how he takes down like Spider-Man, how he takes down the Thing. I mean, he just goes about like systematically eliminating people, and this is what the Punisher is. He's like Batman if Batman had a gun. Like if you gave the Punisher tons of information about any and everybody, he would know how to hurt you. And so he systematically goes throughout New York eliminating all of these cannibals, which are the superheroes. And these superheroes are divided into tribes. I mean, it's a great read, and it's written by Garth Ennis, and we've talked about him before. It's great book, and again, it feels like the Punisher, you know, like someone who just goes out and just punished his people for what they've done, the atrocities they've done to others.
Mm-hmm. The next book.
And this one, this one's another one. This one's great. And again, it's instead of the Marvel Universe versus the Punisher, this one is the Punisher versus the Marvel Universe, or kills the Marvel Universe. And again, it's written by Enos, who's again a fan favorite of the show. And with this one, it's kind of like a what if or an Elseworlds kind of thing, where the Punisher witnesses the death of his family when like a hero scuffle occurred, and because of that, like he just breaks and immediately targets and kills Cyclops, Jean Grey, like right then and there during this fight again, because he loses his family. He goes on trial, doesn't really go to jail because there's a cabal, and this cabal wants him to punish all those heroes because these people were also hurt. They were innocent bystanders that were hurt because of a fight that heroes had with a villain. So all of these casualties of war or of these fights, like, really hurt these people, and they essentially hire Frank Castle to go about and punish them. And Frank, again, because he lost his family, decides to just wipe out any and everybody. So he takes out Spider-Man and Venom. They were his first like real try at eliminating superheroes. And again, he was given all of this information prior to that. Microchips there to helping him out, providing like all the intel. I mean, it's just great to see how the Punisher's being true to himself and the character that we've seen for many, many years, and systematically again eliminates every single hero. And this is before like we know that the Hulk is immortal, or that, you know, certain things can affect certain people. I mean, we're talking about like him just going on a killing spree. And again, it's very true to his nature. It's not something that was out of character for him. And again, it's a great read. And if you're a Punisher fan, I mean, these two books, you have to own them. They're phenomenal. The artwork's great. And again, if you're a Punisher fan, these have to be on your list.
Well, isn't this also in this one? Didn't he kill Dr. Doom by basically putting his foot on Doom's head, using a sledgehammer and playing like croquet with his head, basically?
Yes.
He his head down and kept hitting it until it popped.
Yep, exactly. Like, oh my god, it's like some of these beatdowns are fantastic. I mean, he goes in there with a plan. He knows what he's doing. He's got, I mean, again, he's like Batman with a gun. I mean, if you give him time to figure out what your routine is, what your powers are, I mean, he'll take you out. Like, to your point, JR, I mean, he gets Doom, and this is before like Doom with his power set of I'm a sorcerer, like a full-on sorcerer. So he's still like this evil genius, and he's not there quite yet with having all of these magical abilities. So getting him to just collapse when the Fantastic Four has failed to get him. I mean, it's great.
Well, and also this is right before, like at this time, just short before they finished the Suicide Run, where they kind of killed off the Punisher character, and then they brought him back for this, and they didn't know what to do with him. And this is kind of the first time they did anything with him. And then Ennis goes on and does that monumental Welcome Home, Frank series for Marvel Knights. So this is these two issues are huge in that, because if we wouldn't have these, we would never have got the Welcome Home, Frank, which was the story for the first Punisher movie. So.
Yeah. So which one are you guys? You guys Thomas Jane or John Bernthal guys?
Wow.
I like them both, to be honest.
Dolph Lundgren guy.
No, not Dolph.
Not at all. Not at all.
No.
John Bernthal for me, man.
Nice.
Bernthal.
I kind of like Thomas Jane. Because like he played off of that like wounded like character, and for me, Punisher I always felt was wounded because of he lost his family, so his soul got taken away, his heart broke and could never be fixed. And Thomas Jane for me, like with his acting ability, kind of portrayed that.
Also, that storyline, because that first movie was based on the Welcome Home Frank storyline, and it just so much of that I enjoyed. My problem was that they didn't go far enough. Like, there's a scene in the movie where he's torturing a guy, and the guy thinks he's getting burned and all this stuff, and it ends up being just a popsicle he's using on him because he psychologically messed with this guy's head. Punisher wouldn't pull out a popsicle and stick it on a guy. That's just not him. He would have grabbed the blowtorch and burned him. So that's kind of where I had the issue with that.
Go ahead.
I like Travolta in the movie. That's what I like.
Oh yeah.
He's so cheesy. I love him.
Oh, I don't know, man.
Dope too.
And Jr. I mean, guys, I don't know like which storyline this occurred, but there was at one point where again it had to do with torture, where the Punisher actually soldered some guy's butt and had him take laxatives.
Damn.
I mean, he is just like a stone cold like killer.
Doesn't he fight Kevin Nash in that movie?
Yes, he fights Kevin Nash. The character Kevin
fight-
Nash is the Russian.
It's so epic, that fight, dude.
Also, there's another book that I didn't mention in my one, but there's what's called a Marvel Knights Double Shot, and the whole story, it's half the book because there's two stories, is set in a dentist's office, and it's from inside the mouth. So you are the inside the mouth of the guy getting tortured, while Punisher's trying to get information out of him, pulling teeth out of him. If you ever get a chance to read that story, it is so unnerving, so messed up.
What is it?
So
again?
good. It's called I believe it's called Marvel Knights Double Shot.
Oh,
The number one. It's only
Check
like
it out.
it's like a $4 or $5 book. It's not expensive, and like half the book is him. I think the other half is Daredevil. But it's such a good. I mean, I hate the dance myself, so it just sends shocks to me just watching this guy get tortured from that point of view.
All right, since you got the mic, JR, let's get your book going.
So I picked this one. This is just a beautiful cover.
I have that
But
cover.
Most deaf.
Sick.
But the main reason I like this book was it's not just Frank running in and blowing shit up, because you get that all the time. Frank goes in there. This is a storyline where Daredevil has a couple issues prior accidentally killed somebody. He doesn't believe he killed them, and Daredevil's kind of in this point where it's like, I'm innocent. Why the fuck am I having this issue with me? And Punisher basically, it's set up where Punisher ends up being the voice of reason, which he never is. He basically is torturing this guy. Daredevil convinces him to let him go. The guy goes and grabs a gun and tries to shoot him, and Punisher just kills the guy. And it's kind of like at the end of it goes like, see, I told you so. It was a huge moment for both of those characters because you always see these guys show up together. There's been times when he's tried to make Daredevil kill, like Daredevil's supposed to kill an innocent person, or all these 40 other people are going to die. And of course, Daredevil finds a way to get out of it. This is the one time where the guy ends up dying, and Daredevil realizes that, yes, this other guy died because it was my fault. So it's a really good story, really good arc. You can go to the next one though.
I really like this run. This is one of my favorite runs. I think it doesn't have the all the first appearance hype type crap, but it's just a great story.
Yeah.
I think Zdarsky just does it every issue. So if you guys are new, like, start up this. This is a really good run to get a hold of.
And it's crazy because Charlie Soule was the one before this, and he did an amazing run. This is during the Garth Ennis run, and this brings back the Russian. This is my favorite Spider-Man issue. And
wait. What was that, JR?
What?
Whoa.
this is my favorite Spider-Man issue.
Whoa.
I can guess why. I can guess why.
So at the beginning of the issue, Punisher is fighting the Russian. The Russian in this is basically this big woman with a muumuu on. They've transplanted his head on top of a woman's body. He's fighting the Russian on top of the Empire State Building. Spider-Man sees that Frank is about to fall off, saves him, helps him get back on there. Russian knocks him off, flies him away. Spider-Man swings back in. Russian hits him. He ends up knocking him against the building. Punisher can't take these hits. So he grabs Spider-Man and ends up fighting with Spider-Man as body armor, basically. He's hitting the Russian with Spider-Man and taking all the body shots on Spider-Man.
Damn it, Frank.
At the end of Spider-Man's knocked out. So at the end of it, Spider-Man's like, "What happened?" Punisher turns to him and goes, "We teamed up. You were great." And that was it.
See, it's Enos. I mean, he's just phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh my god.
that is why
Crazy.
it's hands down my favorite Spider-Man appearance ever.
I bet.
I do remember this. This is a great issue.
Yeah,
That's a pretty dope cover too, man. I like it, man.
yeah. I think there was a B cover also. It was pretty decent, but this was the better one of the two.
Yeah.
Oh
like
man,
that.
I remember this run. Oh, Marvel Knights was awesome. I loved it.
Yeah.
I miss it.
Ennis and Steve Dillon were amazing together. And then I had to bring up these. Had to bring up these two.
Of course.
I mean, you've got Punisher, War Journal. Everyone loves Jim Lee.
Yep.
This is the first time I believe he ever did Punisher. I went back and looked at the story. The story is not amazing. It's kind of Wolverines in Africa or wherever they're at trying to protect these animals. Punisher's trying to figure out who's killing somebody. They think they're going to fight each other. They kind of do. But then they go after these poachers.
Mhm.
But just the art. I mean, that is one of the most iconic covers. I mean, I know any of us would buy that cover if you can get it. Even the other
Oh,
one.
definitely.
For sure.
The other cover we buy too. That other cover's sick too.
Plus, like, this was like the first time, like, and I remember this, that the Punisher ever met Wolverine. So this
Yes.
was like a huge deal because you get
Yes.
these two guys that are like out that play outside of the normal superhero rules, you know? And-
Especially at that point, they were so popular that era.
Oh, yeah.
Punisher.
Yep. It was a no-brainer to put these guys together, but it was like the first time, and it was just like, oh, like you had to own this issue.
Yeah.
Tell me about this one right here, JR, because I'm not familiar with this one. Number 7.
So number 7's the second part of number 6. So it was a 2-part crossover, and it basically the first one is kind of where they're going, figuring out who's the poacher and stuff. This is probably the most fighting there was. This cover shot. There was a couple little shots in there because let's be honest, as much as Frank wants to be a badass, he probably couldn't deal with Wolverine's healing factor.
Mhm.
Those metal claws would just shred through him unless he became Frankenstein.
Frankencastle.
Frankencastle, which
Or the Ghost Rider.
You can probably
Wolverine's
take him
son
out.
ended up turning him into.
Or that angel.
Can we not talk about the Angel?
I was so addicted to that because of Pat Lee. I love Pat Lee as an artist. So I bought that book.
Do you any of you guys know about when Frank Castle was working with the Angels? Have you guys seen the storyline?
Nah.
So they did a mini series where Frank Castle had gotten killed prior to this. He got brought back as an agent of God, basically. And he had this trench coat that he can reach into at any time and grab any weapon he wanted. He didn't
Damn.
need ammo. It was just like literally, okay, here's an assault rifle. Okay, here's a pistol. Okay, here's a rocket launcher. He had unlimited ammo. Didn't matter.
Very spun.
He was like the angel of vengeance.
Yeah. Thankfully, it was only 4 issues. But
It was
yeah,
Pat
it was-
Lee. Pat Lee.
yes, Pat Lee, but man, it was bad. It was so bad.
Come
I'm gonna
on.
check that out. I'm gonna check it out. I bet you I can find that at a dollar bin. I'm looking.
You,
For
oh,
that
you
one.
could. I guarantee you.
I think
Man,
that's
man.
He had
I
a little
think that's
insignia on his
volume 4.
forehead.
I think that's volume 4 of it. Because at the time they were doing that Marvel Knights thing where Kevin Smith went into Daredevil.
Oh,
They had
that was another one. I love that
Priest was on Black Panther. Jay Lee was doing Inhumans.
Yep.
And there's one more.
I think that was. I think that might have been it.
Well,
Maybe
Quesada-
Submariner. Submariner.
No.
No.
Quesada was the main person working on it also. And they did at one point, they did the Punisher. And they eventually came out with the Garth Ennis, Steve Dillon Punisher that everyone knows and loves now.
Mhm.
Was it Casada and Palmiotti?
I think so. I think they did something. But I
Yeah.
don't remember what it was. Might have been Century came out with that whole group. That first round.
But yeah, Marvel Knights set the bar, man. I wish they would bring that back.
Who did
They've tried
Warzone?
to.
Punisher Warzone. Who would? How many issues were in that run?
I don't know offhand. I want to say it was like 80 or 90.
Oh my dang!
I know the end of it was when they did Suicide Run where they brought in a female Punisher. And Punisher was on the run getting killed.
And then for you guys, for you vets too, I mean, it was just like they had the Nam comic book out, and they also had the Punisher series that's kind of was like part of the Nam. I mean, he was one of these soldiers that were stationed out in Vietnam.
Huh.
I mean, it was some good stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, I run into those comics sometimes in the dollar bin. The nom ones.
Yeah.
Those are the first books I ever got into when I was a kid. Was Nom.
Yep, it's
Yeah.
good stuff. It's
Yeah.
totally different.
Chris, don't you do something special every week on Twitch or something?
Yeah, I work with this veterans charity organization, and I live stream from 9 to midnight Pacific, so that's midnight to 3 every Tuesday. And it's a really cool organization called stackup.org. And basically, the idea is therapy through gaming, I guess you could say. They are really big on doing things for disabled veterans, like accessibility, improvements to homes like wheelchair ramps, the stuff in the bathroom to make the bathroom handicap accessible, just things like that. Even for guys that they're maybe missing an upper limb, more voice activated things, right? Like Google Homes, increasing your technological footprint for daily tasks, things like that. Super cool group of individuals. But yeah, they do. They assist also with. They call them flights. If you guys know, I forget what they call them. They're like freedom flights or something like that. It's for older veterans to go visit their memorials, or to like the World War II guys that were at Normandy. They funded a flight for those guys. I think they took 20 of them over. So it was really, really cool.
That's cool.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah.
So what was the site name again, Chris?
It's called stackup.org.
Okay.
Stack up, Doug. Well, thank you, Chris, and thank you, Rob, for doing the things to help us be free.
Appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, for sure, man. Much respect. So hey, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I want to thank all the homies for jumping back on for another podcast. And do us a big favor by hitting that like and subscribe button and leaving a comment. It always helps us out to get the word out about this podcast. Any last words or any last ounce of knowledge you guys want to dispense to the universe?
Support your LCS. Pick up your pools, guys.
Just be safe out there right now with everything going on and everything.
Beware of FOMO.
Yep. Beware. All right, guys. Peace.
Right.
See you.
Yeah.